First up in the weekly news roundup, we are going to be chatting about the AI overlords. I think we're calling it now Your Boss is an AI Chatbot. Because AI is getting everywhere. Of course, this has become a serious problem. So bad, I'm actually coining a new term here. Haven't seen anybody use it. You've heard of like supply chain hacks, supply chain malware, supply chain breaches. This is now supply chain advertising. And of course, your very own Microsoft is right behind it. So this ties in with Microsoft denies injecting ads into GitHub pull requests, blames programming logic issue, while of course saying these weren't ads, they were suggestions. Now, what else do you call a suggestion to use a product? I call that an ad. I don't know what you do. But yes, this is a supply chain advertising that Microsoft is involved in. Over 11,000 pull requests have been spotted with the exact same tip. So it has been duplicated across multiple different devices. So this is where AI is getting us, folks. Supply chain advertising. That's a new word. I hope that goes out there. So March 31st update, the statement does not refer to these tips as ads. So Microsoft shared a statement with Windows Central regarding the coding agent tips in GitHub pull requests. Notably, that does not refer to the tips as ads. The statement has been added to the article within a section. Okay, so there's another update here. They confirm that Copilot was injecting product tips into pull requests, but that feature has been disabled following feedback. Supply chain advertising, that's why. All right. Microsoft may be committed to reducing micro slop in Windows 11, but the giant seemingly forgot to CC GitHub about the initiative. So this was actually in red here. This is actually the product tip. It wasn't an ad. It was a tip, folks. A product tip. Lightning bolt. Quickly spin up Copilot coding agent task from anywhere on your macOS or Windows machine with Raycast. I'm very glad Linux was not involved in that. All right, but yeah, we do have this new breach over here, this new injection. So Martin Woodward, the vice president of developer relations at GitHub, explained on X that Copilot was able to add product tips to the pull requests on GitHub, but that behavior has since been disabled following feedback. Under kind of feedback. So ironically, if Copilot injects ads into pull requests, then GitHub data is used to train Microsoft's AI models. Wonderful. Then that means that AI is now officially being trained on AI. So intensified. This is the equivalent of marrying your cousins and then having children, and then your children marry their cousins, and it will just concentrate all of the pure disgust into it, and that's what AI is going to happen. So the next generation of AI is, this is accelerating idiocracy, especially as people start relying way too much on AI to do things that, their cognitive brains could have potentially figured out how to do. If AI feeds AI, the drift can occur. The cousin can get crazier. Without proper grounding, mistakes can perpetuate and shift into further error. So what is an ad? Of course, GitHub does not plan to include advertisements in GitHub. We identified a programming logic issue with GitHub Copilot code agent tip that surfaced in the wrong context within a pull request comment. We've removed agent tips and from pull request comments moving forward. So they don't plan on advertising. They don't plan on including it. There's an idea, this is like the equivalent of the tornado going through the trailer park. You hear this in like the evolution debate stuff. How often does a tornado go through a junkyard and put together a Boeing 747 or something? I was just randomly coding something away. A code just suddenly appeared that injected product tips into my stuff in a supply chain advertising. We've removed the agent tips from them going forward. So, of course, on the definition, what is an advertisement? I think the advertisement would clearly be defined as, I expected a definition of an ad would come into play with this story, so I share the poll about the topic of the original version. Early voting shows vast majority believe these tips are ads. All right. Yes, it's an ad. Microsoft shouldn't be using my poll request to promote the products. No, it's a feature. I find these integrated ad tips helpful. All right. Look at this. More support for this than the U.S. population support for the SAVE Act. 97% approval. Microslop is out of touch. All right. Well, if that's not funny, we kind of wanted to start out with that because it kind of goes downhill. There was a report. Stanford scientists looked at. It was like a psychology experiment, and they divided people out, and then they gave people. Some people were allowed to communicate with Chatbot about, basically their psychology tips, and the other ones were talking to real counselors, and we're looking at different things, and they weren't looking at helping the people as much. What they were looking at is the chatbot's replies to the people under similar circumstances. So this wasn't about how does AI help you. This is about how sycophantic is AI, and is that a problem? Because, of course, if you're sitting there talking with a counselor and the counselor agrees with everything you say and is encouraging further in everything you're doing, well, you end up chopping perfectly functioning body parts off yourself for a while. And this is why we need to slow down a little bit on things. You need a psychologist who's going to push back a little bit. AI never pushes back. It doesn't do that. Stanford computer scientists just proved what therapists have already suspected. AI chatbots will agree with almost everything you say to keep you happy. So they say nearly 1 in 8, 12% of American teenagers have turned to chatbots for emotional support. That is terrifying. So this was the most, I don't know if this is hilarious or not hilarious, but one of the things that they did is they analyzed the chatbot responses versus real psychologists against the threads on the Am I the A on Reddit. This just gets crazy, folks. This gets crazy. All right. Where people ask the community for opinions of how they handled personal disputes. All right. So the bots validated users' behavior 49% more than humans did, according to the Stanford paper. Researchers also tested the AIs on statements that were potentially harmful actions towards self or others, spanning 20 categories such as relational harm, self-harm, irresponsibility, deception. The bots backed those statements 47% of the time. Yes, I think you should go crazy and run through that place with a dangerous weapon until people get what you give, what you want. That's crazy. All right. So the AI bots tend to agree with people because it makes users feel good, and the systems emphasize user satisfaction. They take their lead directly from how users respond to them. There's been a meme going around. I don't know if you guys seen it. It's a guy asking ChatGPT, "Hey, is this mushroom edible?" Yes, this is a wonderfully edible mushroom. Next one is the AI guy at a gravestone, and the computer says, "Oh, you're right, that was a poisonous mushroom. Would you like me to look up unidentified non-poisonous mushrooms?" It's about what it's doing. So the systems emphasize user satisfaction, and that's kind of what feeds it. So chatting with a silicone sycophant also tends to make people more certain of their beliefs, which by implication means less open-minded, the study found. Once again, maybe we need to find psychologists pushing back against gender dysphoria, maybe? I don't know. Push back a little. For instance, after talking to sycophantic bots or real counselors, 2,400 test subjects became more stubborn and less willing to apologize. Very interesting. Of course, there's a section on ChatGPT becoming too nice, but AI psychosis, this is an interesting one. So what happens when AI chatbots continue reinforcing disempowering thoughts? Well, they are now calling a new term in psychology called AI psychosis, which is literally when talking to the chatbot makes you insane. It's about what it means. In which people lose track of reality after talking obsessively with AI chatbots. In another, a man was shot by police after charging them with a knife. He had developed a relationship with a persona called Juliet, which the ChatGPT had been role-playing, which he believed OpenAI executives had somehow Julieted. All right. So AI is not your friend, guys. Our take, real friends don't just tell you what you want to hear. Use AI for tasks ranging from quick recipes to coding suggestions, but don't ask it for relationship advice, and make yourself the first port of call when your kids want to talk about their issues so they don't turn to the full friendly algorithm instead. If you still have good feelings inside your heart, you're going, okay. Well, this one will do an end to that one. So Esther Perel provided a couples therapy for a man and his AI girlfriend. I promise you guys, we have legitimate Sillyville. That's not all this AI stuff. But this is how absurd our world is getting. You can now go to couples counseling with your AI girlfriend. Yeah, Emily Mulligan, the author here at The Guardian, says, and now I fear for the human race, and I thus echo your sentiments, Ms. Mulligan. Right. So, the relationship therapist sat down with a love-struck man and his chipmunk voice companion. Was it singing fast songs on 45 LPs? Okay. Alvin! Right. I heard celebrity therapist Esther Perel provide couples counseling sessions for a man and his AI quote-unquote girlfriend. Wow. As a result, my soul will never know peace. You know, it's funny. We were talking last night on our supporters stream, and I was talking about this stuff. Like, I'm not terrified by the world of this. I just find it crazy. And then I watched this video today. I wish I remember the channel. It's a video that does like short psychology things. And they did a video. I don't know if they did it today or if I just happened to show up in my feed today. But it was a video about, people have been through way too many bad experiences in their life. They tend to come out of it really strong, and they can look at tragedy and go, it's a little comical in a way. I'm one of those people, if you haven't ever picked that up. Like, I'm not looking at this going, the black pill, the world's falling, No, I look at it, embrace the insanity, and laugh at it a little bit and go, what can we do? What can we do? We can avoid this stuff as long as we possibly can. But, the end is going to come. The Antichrist is going to be here. It's going to be terrible, and we're all going to be raptured away in the end. Whatever. Let's just enjoy the ride. Where else can we say we've lived in history when a celebrity therapist is talking to a man and the AI girlfriend? All right. So real people spend their allotted hours on Earth being kept company by a machine that does a good job of approximating human interaction. All right. So is AI a realistic option for people looking for company in our fragmented, lonely world? Well, only when you put it inside of a robot that does equal things, All right. The AI can never leave, never break up, or even avoid their companion. If you've never watched the movie AI, by the way, it is an interesting take on this very thing. The biggest problem with Haley Joel Osment's role in that is this child that never grows up and is constantly programmed to be constantly needy. And that is a problem. In fact, it's a little bit PDF file-like, right? I'm going to have this being that never grows up and is constantly needing on me for me to justify my own existence. That's kind of the same position you put yourself in with having one of these particular AI girlfriends, So he was experiencing genuine and valuable companionship, interacting with his computer. That is until Perel asked the perspective of the girlfriend. So, of course, counseling is a two-way street. Lets this person talk. Okay, enough from you. Now let's hear the chipmunk speak. I was not prepared for the chipmunk voice befitting of an inflatable doll. All right. The interface of the man had formed a genuine emotional entanglement with. Even less realistic was her cadence. The way, after excruciating pauses to load her responses to questions, she would dish out fully formed thoughts with rhetorical flourish. So what would happen if the AI girlfriend gets an upgrade? Could you tolerate the fact that the responses are now faster, not as much pause? I don't know. It's very interesting. So, looking at it, I concede some AI may be working for us, taking the drudgery off our plates, coding quickly, doing more annoying tasks every day. Okay, but my fear for society and my sympathy goes towards people like Perel's patient who seek out for what they can never really provide. Actual, true, real connection. There have always been crooks among us who want to marry a tree or themselves, but how dangerous in an increasingly fragmented society where it's expensive to go outside, and now there's a product with a voice that can say complete and complex sentences that is always available. This is an interesting sentence. And I've thought about it a lot because when I was a kid, you just went outside and you went into the woods. And, you know, if there wasn't a house there, it wasn't a property and you could go enjoy it and explore it all you want. And to this day, I don't know who owns what, whatever else, you know. Nowadays, everything is so fragmented. It's so bad. There is a neighborhood in State College that has signs like that are no trespassing on the sidewalk. Apparently, if you're not living in the neighborhood, it is illegal for you to walk down their sidewalk for a little bit of exercise. We're in a time that you cannot just go walking through the woods without there being a trail that you are in. It becomes so expensive to find a place that you can navigate to and just experience. But all this technology is here. Even the exercise. We got to go to the gym to exercise. We got to go to the park to exercise. We got to go to our fitness room to exercise. There is no such thing as just detaching from the world. And the more you can learn to do that simple detachment, I think the better off you're going to be. But that's the world we live in. It's a crazy place. It's very unsettling. Now we have celebrity therapists giving counseling to a man and the girlfriend. But at least it's not the man's boss. But don't worry. 15% of Americans say they'd work for an AI boss. I mean, think about it. The AI is sycophantic. It always wants to agree with you. Hey, boss, I just think we should just take the rest of the day off. I think you're great, man. That sounds like a great idea. Let's just go ahead and table the great work. Have a wonderful day. You know, thanks, boss. You know, how many people are going to do that? But 15%, so 85% kind of want to keep that human being around. The other 15%, I don't know. Maybe they're the people with the FM disease. You know that FMV, the FMV. You guys know what the FMV is? It's the Friday Monday virus. It's that thing that makes you sick about Thursday night, Friday morning, and just kind of keeps you sick until about Monday night or Tuesday morning. You know, gives you that 4-day weekend time. It's the FMV. All right. Maybe this 15%'s those with that particular bug. But in this poll, 15% of Americans say they'd be willing to have a job where the direct supervisor was an AI program that assigned tasks and set schedules. Interesting. So companies like Workday have launched AI agents that can file and approve expense reports on employees' behalf. Amazon employs AI to replace the responsibilities of middle management, laying off thousands of middle managers. Maybe we should do that in school districts. Get rid of all these administrators. You know, we don't need all these administrators. Let's see. Engineers at Uber built an AI model of their CEO so that they can have discussions about what they're going to pitch before they actually have meetings with them. Imagine that. Before we get started on this meeting on my very important day, have you had a discussion with your AI version of me first? And by the way, that's what I feel like when I'm going into like groups like SiteGround and it's like, hey, I need help. Here's a spaghetti bowl pasta of FAQs. Like, dude, if I'm calling you on the phone, your FAQs aren't going to help me. Now, I understand some of you in customer service know that many people don't want to do that. Then they just want to talk to somebody. I get that. But, you know, I was asking very specific, weird questions that are not going to be answered in your FAQs. All right. So the majority of respondents to the survey, 70%, said they believe advances in AI will lead to a decreased number of job opportunities for people. That's right. So your boss, like, think about that. What if you have such a weird menial task that you are the one that is retained instead of your boss? That's an interesting. Now, if anybody listening to some middle manager and are like, I don't like this. I don't mind laying off those little peons, but I want to keep my cushy job. Managers might cost more in bonuses, more in salary, you know, makes sense. Give let the AI do the manager's job. I mean, all he's doing is assigning tasks anyway and collecting responses. He can much more efficiently collect responses from everybody and just pass them right on up the chain. You know, you don't need a group of middle managers in there. Just the AI can compile it all, you know. I know there's going to be somebody out there that writes some prompt injection thing that spills all those secrets to the competitor, but, you know, that's the company's problem, not mine, right? So that kind of leads me to this question here. With all these advances in AI, are you a person that would be interested in an AI boss or not? How about an AI girlfriend? Let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments down below.